Hey, good people, this is your Ally Dom, back with another YouTube reflection. And this is a personal journal for contemplative people looking to think, grow, and have impact in the world. So, hey, I'm in the middle of a series. Um, I'm responding to a podcast called Something Was Wrong. I responded to this podcast before, but that was for season one. I'm now responding to their season 14, which is about a guy that I'm calling Tom. That's not his name, but I'm naming him Tom. And Tom has been physically, sexually, financially, psychologically, emotionally abusive to hundreds of women, a lot of women, dozens of women, I guess I should say it that way. And those women came together to put this series together on this podcast called Something Is Wrong. And I've been listening to it and enjoying it. And then in episode 9 of the series, part of the story confronts Tom's not employer, but its partner, which is a Black owned business. And the Black owned business um, would subcontract with Tom. He did some freelance work with them, and these women got together to schedule a meeting with the Black owned business, and they didn't get the response that they wanted. And I'm in the process of trying to explain that. All right. So that's all I'm going to say for now. Let me do my disclaimers, and then I'm going to kind of pick it up from there. If you're new to this project, this is a personal journal where I process my inner and my outer worlds. I do so by using personality theory, the two theories that I use the most, are the Myers-Briggs and the Enneagram. Pushing those two systems together, I identify as an INTJ8. I have a number of other disclaimers that I say on the podcast, which is a longer form reflection, but for the short reflection on YouTube, I just want you to know that this project is unedited. It's unedited. You can tell. It's unedited and it's unscripted. To know more about it or me, feel free to go to my website at yournidown.wordpress.com. So this is the part that's hard for me because I'm trying to factor. There's a tonality for me that's letting me know these women are not pleased with this black business owner. They're not pleased with him, but I don't feel like they're direct in saying what is the offense. What did he do that warrants that kind of public treatment with his name and the name of his business? That feels like a lynching to me. Right. So for you, I understand, in part, you putting Tom's name out there, but now you're going to put another person's name and their business out there. And that's fine. That's fine. But what did that company do to you? What did they do that would warrant you putting his name out there? Yep. You could write a letter. Yep. You can even talk about it, but to put his name and the name of the business out there in that podcast, I would have, I just think that he should have had the grievance. To me, the grievance didn't match their action at all. Okay, so excuse me. Number one, it feels passive aggressive. It feels passive aggressive because that's when and I'm not saying aggressive. Okay, aggressive is typically a negative word, right? Usually we like to say assertive, right? There's a difference between aggressive and assertive, but I actually think there are times when aggression is warranted, right? It's warranted. But when you do it passively, a person can't respond in kind. When you're on a receiving end of passive aggressiveness, you feel the aggression. But then when you try to confront it, you really can't because it's packaged in this niceness. And there's like this distance to the aggression. So then you can't confront the person that is attacking you. Because to attack the person who's attacking you would feel aggressive because the person who was attacking you would be like, I didn't mean any harm. I wasn't trying to be aggressive. It feels duplicitous. So, in my opinion, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna suffer through that damn episode again because I have to listen to what did this company, black-owned company, do that warranted having his name and the name of his company spotlighted in that manner. right? So you say, and maybe they changed his name because I tried to look it up. So let's just give, maybe they changed the name of the company. Maybe they made up a name for the company and made up a name for him. That would make me feel a lot better. That would make me feel significantly better because I did briefly try to look it up and I didn't find anything. So I want to make room for that. And then they bring up another guy who did some business with this black-owned company, and then he does this low grade microaggression, low grade shade by saying he's a good guy, but he just has some business practices that I didn't think was sustainable. You can package that up and try to be nice if you want to. That's horrible if they're using that man's real name and his real business. I think that's horrible. I think it's god awful. I really do. But anyway, that's just my opinion. So so two things so far I'm saying that I don't like. That they three things actually. They are confronting him about as though they're treating him, this black owned business, that he did something wrong, but they're not making it really explicit. And what they have said, basically, what I hear is that he didn't respond in the way that these women wanted. And I'm going to come and talk about that in a minute. I don't know what the crime is in that. So I guess other women that have been harmed from the community wanted to hold this black owned business responsible because they're supposed to be community oriented. And my God, I wanted to say, and I think he said it, but I wanted to say it in a more explicit way. That organization is for black women, and black women have different challenges that they confront than white women. Is there an overlap? Yep, we have vaginas. But if you look at historically, if you look, and this is why this is an important issue. Because if you look at the civil rights movement, there were two things happening at that time. There was a civil rights movement, and there was, excuse me, if you look at the 60s, there were two movements happening, the civil rights movement and the feminist movement. Black women did not fully fit in the civil rights movement because the civil rights movement was really catering to the needs of black men. It did not confront the needs of black women. It was assumed that if you confront, and it never named a gender, but black women's issues were not centered in the civil rights movement. It just wasn't. So they didn't fully have all of their needs met. So then you cross the aisle and you go into the feminist movement. The feminist movement was driven by white women. Black women don't have the same issues as white women generally. So they were left on their own. And so some of them actually got together to form their own movement, but you didn't even know about that. I didn't even know about that historically. That's not the stuff that got put in the history books. Not at all. So I don't know if this guy owner did this intentionally, but he was like, this is a business. We're fighting for the needs of black women. He didn't say this because they would have eaten his ass alive if he would have said, you guys as white women, you I don't know if this is how he felt, but this is what I wonder. These white women who had been assaulted, who had been harmed, no doubt about it, wanted I don't know. This is where it really gets tough, y'all. I'm gonna say some stupid things. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna piss somebody off. And all I can ask is if you give me an opportunity to have a direct conversation with you. That's all I can ask. And I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna show up the way that I'm expected to show up. That's the whole point. So these women go to this black owned business because you're like, this is a community organization. Is it though? It really feels like a hijacking of an agenda. Yeah, look at our needs as white women and let's take time away from the fight for black women because this is warranted. Now, let's just be really honest. God, my goodness, if I ran out of time, I'm going to scream. Okay. Let's be honest. This is not a victim's Olympic. So we're not doing a marathon about which victimhood should be preferred. What's the word? Given preference. But we can say that this organization that you're reaching out to, that Tom did some subcontracting with, is an organization that is dedicated to the work of Black women. You have to be sensitive to the fact that when you all are trying to demand a certain thing from them, that you are now taking time and resources away from the cause. And not once did I hear that. Again, I'm going to own the fact that I could be a little biased as a Black woman and a Black woman who's a who's a current business owner. But my business right now isn't functioning where I don't have staff like that. So I used to be a business owner where I had staff members, right? So I'm sensitive to that. It's like center me in this cause. I was hurt, so now I'm going to center myself into your business that's not even designed for me. And then I don't even tell you what you did fully wrong, other than saying you didn't feel understood. He didn't respond the way you wanted him to respond. They went into a meeting and the owner, so the women said, "Hey, I'm going to bring these other women to the meeting." And because they asked for an audience with the owner. And he said, "Okay." But when he got into that meeting, he had a whole bunch of people on that call. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Those women, if they're not all white, I believe they're white adjacent or white presenting. I could say that. I believe that. I could be wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. Can you? And then let's tell the truth. I can imagine that they got on this Zoom call with all of those Black faces, and it was intimidating. And that's now offensive. I just lost two volunteers for something similar. We're doing business. We do a Zoom call. They were two young girls, I don't know, white girls, and all of a sudden, that night, they resigned. After we were like making plans and we had other things that we were talking about doing, an abrupt removal. So another white female friend of mine, who knew the girls and who knew the call that we were on, she said, I suspect that they got uncomfortable realizing that the work that you're asking them to do is going to make them a minority. They're not used to being the only white faces around. They're used to being around other Black people, but it's one thing to be around people of color. It's another thing entirely to be a minority. And when you've been in a world that is where people look like you as the majority, it's a whole different experience. I used to tell my staff everybody needs to be in the minority. In order to understand what these kids are going through, everybody needs to be the minority at some point so you can get it. Because you don't get it until you. Now, is that what was happening with these women? I have no idea. I have no idea. But they were bothered that they felt bum rushed. Like, this is all sensibility. This is it, issues around sensibility. They didn't like that. I got one more thing that I want to say about this. I'm going to come back for a part 5, y'all. If this reflection has had any value for you, please give it a like, thumbs up, star. If this conversation it's about how to frame and engage in justice work that is racially flavored, like how to support racial justice when you're not a racial minority. How do you do it authentically? Because to say you're going to support it and then do these microaggressions, centering yourself, taking away resources, it feels counterintuitive and it feels god awful. It feels hurtful. Anyway, if this reflection relates to a conversation you've had in the world, please take this link and share it with those participants, you guys. I'm going to come back for part 5, but please find me on my website if you have something to say. I can handle it. Just try to be gentle. Try. I'm trying. All right. You're nidom.wordpress.com. You guys, it's been a pleasure hanging out with you. Until I come back, be well. Bye.